So I was going to come on and just practice saying goodbye for the whole video. So it's just going to be a whole compilation of me ending the video. Then I thought that was a bit of a cop-out. And then I also heard a Norm Macdonald interview where he was saying that he didn't know how to finish his jokes. And that felt like a sign. That felt like a sign that I probably shouldn't just do a whole smash cut of me saying goodbye, because it's not a whole lot of value in that. I fell down a massive Norm Macdonald rabbit hole the last few days. I've been binge watching all the YouTube videos and listening to all the interviews that I could find. Before the last few days, the only material I'd seen of his was his Moth joke. If you have not seen Norm Macdonald's Moth joke, or if you've seen it and you need a reminder, then I think, please just pause me. I am not in the slightest bit interesting or important compared to this joke that you absolutely have to see. Go to your YouTube search bar and type in Norm Macdonald's Moth joke. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. The first time that I saw this joke, if you can call it that, the first time that I watched this, I was on a packed morning peak hour train. Morning peak hour train, I think we can all picture the atmosphere, very low energy, not a high vibe. Yeah, just a bunch of like gloomy, sleepy, bundled up people with their heads down, just trying not to think about the day ahead. I don't know what was going on in their heads. Anyway, it's not a very energetic atmosphere inside a train carriage at 7:30 a.m. on a weekday. And someone had sent me this clip to watch. I was sitting there, and as it builds, so does the humor. And so I'm starting to have more and more trouble containing it. And eventually I had to go so far as just shoving a hand up in my fist, just so I wouldn't explode with laughter through the whole train carriage and wake everybody up, God forbid. Yes, it's fantastic. If you're still watching me and you haven't gone to watch that, I don't know what you're doing. I also don't think there's anything particularly notable coming up in this ramble, mostly because I haven't planned it, so could go anywhere. You should definitely go watch Norm Macdonald. I think he would have wanted that. Yeah. You still here? Okay, I appreciate that. Or maybe I just didn't do a good enough pitch. Yeah, Norm, I hadn't really seen any of his stuff up until the last few days. And now that I've done a little bit of reading up on him and listened and heard and everything, I am shocked. I am shooketh. I don't know how he wasn't on my radar before. I don't understand. The guy's a legend. Such a wild card of a guy. I love it. That's pretty much my favorite type of people, you know, the people that just don't give a heck. They do not feel obligated to conform to societal expectations of what they're going to say and do in public with strangers. Oh, I made that sound like it was something that it wasn't. I just mean like the observations that he makes have the power to really offend people. And yeah, there's a number of clips where the reaction from the people around him is just utter shock and horror. Some people get very offended, some people can't deal. And yet, clearly he was exceptionally beloved by all that knew him, and clearly he was a massive favourite on the scene. It kind of weirded me out though, so I saw all these clips of him being a brat on live national TV. He always got invited back though, right? Like he made repeat appearances on all these shows where he you know, the number of clips I saw where the host of the show would be getting the producers in their ear, getting them to cut the segment short, or there was one where the producer had given Norm a phone to go on set with, and then if Norm went too far out of line, he'd get a phone call telling him to cut it off, but he just answered it and then let everybody know the producer thought it was a good idea for him to bring a phone on set. Great dude. And we all tend to love these people that make us uncomfortable, right? That express the truth that no one else will and do it just so matter-of-factly, with no fanfare. Just is what it is, and then lets it hang. Lets it hang in the air and just watch the chaos reign. We love these people because we feel like we can't be these people. So we live vicariously through the people that do. I don't get it. Why? If everything that he was talking about was really that offensive, then why invite him back? Like, why? He had a massive career, so it's not like it would have been a surprise for anybody that booked him onto their shows and then had him say shit that wasn't exactly kosher. But he kept getting invited back, and his career was, spanned decades. Just legend. Does it mean that none of it matters? Does it mean that we can't just go around and speak our truth and not be chastised and not be cast away from the tribe? There's obviously a lot at play here. He's clearly a very special and unique human being, and you can tell the warmth, and the warmth just radiates. He's obviously not a mean-spirited dude, and I did, in one interview that I was listening to, he was touching on how he won't do impersonations of people that he doesn't like, because then it comes out mean-spirited. You have to like the person that you're doing an impersonation of. And in a similar fashion, he was talking about some of the material, like some of the topics that he wouldn't touch, and he's got good morals. Or he had great morals. Bless. We're so scared to speak our truth. Sounds kind of cheesy. Get a lot of people saying that right now, but we are terrified of stating our observations, lest we be mocked and ridiculed, and lest we offend anybody. And yet we love these people that don't have a filter. It's kind of wacky to me. I aspire to be someone that can speak truth a lot more easily and can deliver it without preempting the backlash. So I think that's the big thing that stops me from being all that I can be out in the world. Part of it is that I know that how my brain gets in a debate. I as an introvert, it's really difficult for me to engage in conflict, because in that situation, my brain kind of shuts down. I struggle to retrieve facts and words, and my brain won't feed my mouth words. Basically I shut down. I just go into full-on freeze mode. Part of that's being an introvert and just not being able to access that part of my brain when I need it in those moments. And part of it is also because I grew up in a house with conflict where I wasn't allowed to voice opinions. I wasn't allowed to have a different opinion to my parents, because that'd get you a slap a lot of the time. It was straight up dangerous to have a different opinion. Oh, here we go. Now we're getting to the meat. It only took me 10 minutes. It was straight up dangerous to have an opposing opinion in my house growing up. So couple that with the introversion given that I got shut down every single time I tried to express an opposing view to my parents, I literally can't. I hate to say the word can't, but I cannot argue with people. Maybe my boyfriend that's about it. Anybody that I don't know very well, or anybody that, like, I know he loves me. I know he loves me unconditionally, so, you know, there's not really danger per se in us having an argument. We don't argue anyway, but, you know, if we did, I would fare a lot better than arguing with literally any other person on the planet, like, be it a workmate or customer or, you know, random strangers on the street. There's been a little bit of that the last couple of years. I just do not engage. And so that's the biggest thing that stands in the way of me speaking truth these days. To be quite honest, I knocked down the walls pretty good over the last couple of years with all my commentary on everything that's been going on. I'm not really scared of what people think so much anymore about me having opposing views, and I do tend to fall, like, in the social network that I have, I seem to fall on the opposite side of people on most topics that have any sort of political weight to them at all. Which gets a bit tricky. I do have to self-censor a lot. Yeah, like, the people at work, they have no idea who I am. I've barely been able to share any of myself to them. But that's another story for another time. But yeah, I at this point, like, I'm comfortable with what I believe in, and I'm also open to being wrong. Have been many times on many things that I had very deep conviction on, so at this point I feel like it's pretty much a given that I'll be wrong about way more stuff throughout my life, and that's alright too, but I'm happy to stand by what I believe in at the time. Unfortunately, these days, that can be very highly charged to do. And that can elicit some very emotional responses from people. I'm not ready for that yet. I am not ready for that. I'm comfortable with what I believe in, and I'm comfortable with myself, but I am still very much building up my resilience and still, I guess, understanding my why too, and that's a big one. I think if you know your why, then you basically you've gifted yourself a shield of armor. A shield of armor? Llama. A shield and some armor against all that hostility, but I'm not quite there yet. But yeah, I do find it really strange that we have these personalities, both in the public eye and just people that we happen to know, that constantly pushing the envelope of what they can say and do publicly, and as shocking as these people can be to us sometimes, we also don't demonize them. And so it's interesting that we ourselves are so terrified of behaving the way they do, because it's outside of the norm. The Norm Macdonald, but once again, I didn't really have a overriding conclusion for all of this. You just get to watch me staring stoically into the distance for long pauses. Fuck, ridiculous. Just go watch some Norm Macdonald. That's my advice. Go watch some Norm Macdonald. Good 4 days, yeah. Good night.